This Zenith seed, or also known as the Everything seed, is the absolute hardest challenge Terraria has to offer, including custom world generation, increased difficulty, and your spawn is in hell. So what would happen if I combined it with Terraria's most well-known mod's hardest difficulty, Calamity Death Mode? Is this combination even doable? I have no idea, so join me to find out. Our adventure starts by us chopping down some ash trees, and to our advantage, Calamity actually gives you a starter bag, which has some pretty decent loot. I place down my newly acquired chests, and then begin heading upwards with the rope that I got from the treasure bag. This is my first playthrough on the Zenith seed, so I really have no clue what I'm doing. All that I know is that up is good. I then make sure that death mode is on and begin the climb. We get our first death by discovering that the world is full of crispy honey blocks that deal fire damage if you stand on them. I, however, did not realize this at first, and then went up and died to them again. I then craft myself a set of ashwood armor and embark on a journey to explore the right side of the world. And this is what I find out, that pots can now drop bombs. I find a nice open looking area and use the last of my ropes, only to die to a voodoo demon a few seconds later. I decide that our best plan is to keep heading up and ignore literally anything else. The only thing that matters is that we keep climbing. After saying goodbye to our warm and cozy home in hell, I spot a massive vein of iron, which is blocked by a wall of crispy honey. And I'm not sure if this next issue is on my PC or the world, but in this playthrough, for some reason liquids do not work, which we then find out about the hard way. And as you can see, the seed has a custom death sound, which you're gonna be hearing a lot throughout the video. My stupidity then kills me again, as I go and attempt to mine the same iron vein twice. I give up on ore mining, and decide that looking for chests is most likely the better option, since we still don't have access to stone, since it's only found in the upper layers of this world. As my way is once again blocked by a broken patch of lava, we then lose all of our starting NPCs, since they're only here for the first day. While making my way up, I then to my horror find out how fast zombies are in this world. That probably didn't look like much to you, but trust me, zombies are on some serious crack in this playthrough. I then showcase my epic gamer skills by barely surviving this dangerous trap. There were crispy honey blocks on the floor, and I stepped on them. Not even close, by the way. As I continue my epic descent up to the surface, I then find out about yet another amazing and cool feature of this seed. Yeah, you guessed it. The darkness. Being in the dark now kills you. Literally. This is where I start thinking that going into the Zenith seed blind probably wasn't a good idea. I then make it back to where I died, and the climb continues. Constantly having to be aware of something like the darkness is really annoying in the early game. And when you're focused on holding on a torch, stuff like this can happen. Having to make the same climb tens of times over and over again was starting to piss me off. But as you know by now, the climb continues. Oh my god, I hate this seed. Oh boy, does it feel good to have finally made it back up. I sure hope that I don't die to some stupid I love this seed! After writing this well thought out feedback, I decide that now I'm locking the fuck in. I'm finding that chest, and I'm making some goddamn progress. Then, after almost dying to the same dart trap twice, yeah, I'm really good at the game, I know, I fall victim to the same f***ing darkness. But it's all good. I climb back up, then using my advanced mathematics skills, I calculate each pixel in the background to make sure that I'd survive this. Yeah, no, I'm just lucky. I make my way over to the other side, as I said there's a bunch of iron to be mined. I then get scared by a horde of zombies, but luckily they're all brain dead, and they just don't know how to use platforms apparently. After getting jumped by this ice slime, I then mine down and... oh my god, please. This character is now 2 hours old, and I have less stuff than what I started off with. But holy shit, look at what I did next. Dude, am I cool or what? Dude, oh my god. That's some f***ing micro speedrun bullshit. I didn't go ahead and drop all of the irons that I had worked so hard for, so you just know that I had to do the cobweb thing again. I finally then decide that it's probably about time to build some NPC housing, since the rope that the merchant sells could be really useful. And as I said, like, bro, I need to lock in. How have I played like 2 hours and still not built any NPC housing? Bruh. I gather myself 50 silver, since that's all you need for the merchant to move in, and hope that while I continue the climb, he'd move in into the 5-star hotel that I've built him. Finally being back to where I left off, I decided my best option is to start whacking this eye with my copper pickaxe. While I'm busy fucking up this eye, this absolute fucking maniac of zombie decides to... Okay, I'm not even gonna, like, what the fuck is it? I also just don't remember why the fuck I did this. And after dying once more for good measure, I then made it to a place where I hadn't been before. And there it was. Our first chest. I immediately rushed to open it, and to my good luck, it had a blizzard in a bottle. The blizzard in a bottle is an amazing accessory for traversing the world in the early game. I'm still not immune to enemies though. I then took revenge on the annoying patch of iron, which then managed to kill me for the 3rd time. While making my way back up for the 107th time, I then spotted a peculiar looking chest. And this is how I found out that there are mimics in Pre-Hardmode now. This, however, was not a bad thing, since I was curious to find out what mimics would drop in Pre-Hardmode. I was not about to die to this mimic, so I took no chances and let my summon take care of him. And it finally seemed like my luck was turning around, since this specific mimic dropped both the ice blade and the ice boomerang. We had finally made some progress. Happier than I've ever been, I decided to keep exploring this ice biome, since it's been good to me so far. With the surface as my main goal, the yearning for the skies grows ever stronger. We then face our first Calamity enemy. This was good, since I was getting scared that Calamity was somehow broken, and after dying to him, and then climbing back up, we are greeted with this sight. Not 1 life crystal, 2 life crystals! Let's go, boys! Even after having made great progress, I'm still keen on finding stone, since many crucial upgrades are locked up behind stone, and holy fuck is that a beehive. So yeah, the world is actually full of those. It's one of the perks of the Not the Bees seed. And next to it is what could be our 2nd chest. Dude, Wolfram Drone, please, not right now, no, I need this chest, please. That was close. I'm so lucky that I didn't die, and now I can grab my chest in peace. Love it. Love this suit. You've probably noticed by now, but this world is awfully full of traps. That's because one of the seeds that are mashed up into the Zenith seed is the More Traps seed, which, you know, as the name says, more traps. After exploring for a while, the merchant finally decided to show up. As I continued my way on this minecart track, I spotted 2 life crystals at the bottom of this hole. Making quick work of the enemies with my bombs, I was now 40 HP healthier. I then get jumped by a bunch of Wolfram enemies, which I make quick work of. And my reward for all of this? Bruh. I then find the angler sleeping in the middle of this icy puddle. And I'm not even surprised by that at this point, since this world is just full of pleasant surprises, including my favorite NPC, the angler. As I'm having wet dreams about the angler, I get jumped by a bunch of enemies and almost die to the darkness. Luckily I'm saved by my superhuman reaction time. After killing the enemies, I proceed to break my moral code by heading downwards, thus ending the climb. This, however, allowed me to find an underwater chest, which contained our new friend, whom I called DJ. And only the OGs know what DJ stands for. And just look at how many traps are in this one cave. How's this, like, fair? But after all this pain and suffering, our climb finally paid off. And we had found stone. Finding stone was absolutely essential for the future of this playthrough, since before this, we had no furnace, so smelting our ores was next to impossible. I collected enough stone to last us for a while, and then, as I do, I continued the climb, finding my way to the sunken sea biome. And there was basically nothing for now that I wanted from here. All I cared about were the 2 chests in this laboratory that usually have a really good amount of gold coins. Now with over 20 gold coins on me, I then recalled home. That's what I should have done. I'll just quickly grab this life crystal. Dude, oh my god, life crystal welders, bro. Are we being dead ass? Just as I was about to make it back to my money, a blood moon spawned. And the thing about death mode blood moons is that they have their spawn rate buffed by 400%. This combined with the increased difficulty from the For the Worthy seed meant that I was going to be having a lot of fun this following night. I died over 50 times during that blood moon. We, however, did not leave empty-handed. We were rewarded with the Blade Crest Sword, which is a really good weapon for the stage of the game we are in. We also got 82 voodoo dolls. 82 guide voodoo dolls. I then find out that using our new sword is basically a death sentence, since using it causes queen bees to spawn. I, however, did not learn my lesson the first time, and get killed by the queen bee a second time. Finally having learned my lesson, I continue exploring the ice biome, when I come across a mysterious chest. The chest then decides to fart on me, and I don't know why it even did that, since the loot inside the chest wasn't all that special. It did, however, contain the frozen key, which, you know, is the worst of the dungeon keys. I then spotted another life crystal, but before I even get to it, I'm yet again killed by the darkness. Twice. I was starting to get really fed up, and I was considering giving up, since I didn't have what it would take to climb back up once again. With the random teleportation potion that I had just found from a chest as my last hope, I prayed that it would take me to somewhere useful. And my prayers were answered. The potion took me to exactly where I wanted it to take me. All my motivation had just been restored. With the playthrough feeling ever more possible, I continued exploring upwards, running into a spider's nest, where I made the biggest mistake of this entire playthrough. I made myself ginger. No, 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 no! With the power of my ginger hair, I then found the desert. There's only really one thing that I want to find from the desert, and that's the magic conch, since the magic conch would allow me to teleport straight to the surface, assuming it works in this bullshit seed. As I continue exploring the desert, I make the crucial mistake of using the queen bee sword, and the sword doesn't have its name for no reason. Let's just say that much. Dude, I am such a fucking idiot, dude. Oh my god. While I'm making my way back up, I find a rainbow-coated house, which contains a cloud in a bottle. I then almost get a heart attack as I discover my first bouncy boulder. Just before making it back to the desert, I come across the skeleton merchant, who actually in Calamity sells some quite useful stuff. I also found my first pair of Hermes boots. Just before I'm about to make it back, I feel an evil presence watching me. This is just my typical luck. Everything just happens the worst possible time. Time being on the essence, I try to grab the desert chests as fast as I can, hoping that the Eye of Cthulhu doesn't spawn. And I don't know what I was expecting from him, but holy shit. What? How am I supposed to beat that? What? Even with like hard mode gear, like how? His first phase now has 7,000 HP and is faster than what his second phase normally is. How's that fair? And then oh! What was that voice track, dude? Oh my god. I then decided that the Eye of Cthulhu is probably off limits for now, and the best option is to probably go for the Desert Scourge. And to my surprise, the next chest we open contains the summoning item of the Desert Scourge. Exactly what we wanted. I continue exploring the desert in the hopes of finding the magic conch, since the ability to skip the surface would still be absolutely massive to have. I then finally found another desert house containing a chest and a bass statue. Bass statue? Yeah, bass statue. Anyway, the chest contains exactly what we wanted. The magical conch, baby. I then blow up a crimson heart and collect the Undertaker, now allowing the arms dealer to move in. I don't know why I said that like we need him or something, but yeah. Making commentary is hard, bro, please. Give me a break. And as I continue exploring the crimson columns, I realize that these could take us to the surface. Would this be the end of the climb? With my heart rate growing increasingly faster, I suddenly start to feel the effects of low gravity, knowing that we had finally made it and the climb was over.
Oh my god, it's the surface, oh my god, there's so much.
There's nothing here and we just died immediately. As I said, the surface in the seed is basically completely covered by the evil biomes, so I don't even know why I wanted to get there, but yeah. Now that that's out the way, I think it's time that we build ourselves some more NPC housing. Since I really want to try playing Summoner, and I really need a whip from one of the NPCs. Realizing that we had acquired the magic conch, I think that it's time we see if it works. Okay, so it works. All I need to do is get some lighting so the darkness doesn't kill us. And it seems that the right side of the world is taken over by the corruption. I recall home since I remember having some Gil's potions in a chest. I plan on using these to explore the ocean. Let me just quickly heal up before we go. Oh, what the f— Yeah, I have no clue what just happened. Unbothered by our recent setbacks, I head back up the surface, which I then realized that the ocean is probably not worth the effort. I kept exploring the surface and found this weird purple forest. It looked cool, so I kept exploring it, and I basically ended up finding nothing. What a scam. I decided to keep exploring, and I finally found something. I found a cave that seemed to be a hybrid between the jungle biome and a mushroom biome. It didn't really have anything special in it, except king slime for some reason. Why is this guy so massive? He's like the size of my left testicle. Anyway, I stood no chance. My yearning for the skies was still strong, so I kept exploring, and I ended up finding something that looked like the jungle temple. And I wondered to myself, why the hell is this thing on the surface? And why is it purple? After recalling back home, I decided that it's probably finally time that we start to build the arena for Desert Scourge. With the help of a few dynamites, I started blowing up an arena above the sunken sea. With the arena almost ready, all we had to do was summon the worm. I buffed up and let the fight begin. That's not the Desert Scourge. What's happening? I then tried again, just in case that it was a bug. And I found out it was not a bug. It was not a bug. But I'll tell you what it was. A bunch of bullshit, that's what it was. As I was about to close the game, I remembered that Eye of Cthulhu exists. Before starting, I made sure to let the nurse move in, buffed up, and let the fight begin. I immediately then soiled my underwear, since holy f is this dude fast. I knew that if the nurse were to die, I'd stand no chance. Only having tickled the boss, I was already low and in the need of a heal, so I headed towards the nurse, and then to my surprise, finding the eye defeated. Dude, what? GG easy. First try. Didn't even have to try. I mean, I'm taking that, by the way. Like, if the eye wants to kill himself, I'm fine with that. One of the reasons why I wanted to play Summoner was that the Optic Staff is now given to you after defeating the Eye of Cthulhu in Pre-Hardmode. Watching all that boss killing was probably really stressful, so watch me build a house. Just relax and just watch a working class man just build a house. Just build a house from scratch. And if you've been able to tolerate me for this long, just sub at this point, bro. Like, what are you doing? Anyway, enjoy the rest of this house building. We start off today's episode by going to the Sunken Seas biome. I'm there to create a pylon setup so that I have easy access to the underground desert. Our next boss is the Desert Scourge, which you would normally fight on the surface. But because we're playing on this stupid Zenith seed, that's really not an option. So we're gonna have to make a new arena underground. And you might be wondering, what do you mean make a new arena? There's clearly a working arena right next to you.
Actually, wrong.
Trying to fight the Desert Scourge here spawns a hard mode boss with 200,000 HP. And why is this? Well, simple explanation, I'm a dumbass. I built the arena way too close to the Sunken Seas biome. But before we do any arena mining, I need to find the jungle, for one reason. Since we're playing Summoner, whips are a crucial part of our loadout. The strongest whip that's available to us right now is the Snapthorn whip, which applies poison and is an overall upgrade to our leather whip. I spent hours looking for the jungle. I looked all around the left side of the map, but I couldn't find it. And I was starting to get nervous. What if the jungle just didn't exist? Since that technically could be possible, if, for example, the Sunken Seas had generated on top of it. I'm not sure if I'm dumb, but I always thought that the jungle would be like on the opposite side of the snow biome, so I was sure that it would have to be on the left side. I went to take a quick look on the right side of the world and found it immediately. Bruh. Having found the jungle, I had one goal. Find enough jungle spores, vines and stingers, so that I could craft the Snapthorn whip. But little did I know that this jungle was gonna be a huge pain in the ass. Instead of spawning bees, the beehives in this jungle spawn calamity enemies that are normally found at the end of hard mode. Each of these encounters took an annoyingly long time to deal with, since they had way more health compared to normal pre-hard mode enemies. After having gathered all the materials that I needed for the Snapthorn, I then quickly recalled home to a welcome surprise of a goblin army invasion, which I honestly really needed, since defeating the goblin army gives you access to the goblin tinker, who sells you the rocket boots and allows you to gamble. And also allows you to gamble. I fucking hate that dude. Anyway, after defeating the goblin army, I realized something. The enemies in the jungle dropped me these plague canisters, which are normally only found at the end of hard mode. I honestly don't believe that this is intentional, so I'm not gonna be using these to craft anything that I normally shouldn't be able to craft. After crafting my Snapthorn, I quickly headed back to the underground desert to begin to prepare the arena for Desert Scourge. And oh boy, let me tell you, was this fun. Since for some fucking reason, antlions now spit out like 100 blocks of sand instead of the one that they usually spit out. This essentially meant that every time an endlayer spawned, I had to spend a minute clearing out sand blocks. I don't know whose fucking idea this was, but like, please fire him. Like, please. Please. Anyway, once I had cleared out all the sand blocks, it was time to challenge the Desert Scourge. And honestly, this boss was quite something. I know he's supposed to be the first boss of Calamity, but I do not remember him being this hard. So I don't know what the Zenith seed does to him, but he had somehow acquired the world's most advanced jump prediction technology known to man. No matter what direction I tried to dodge, his massive head would still somehow hit me. And the contact damage was brutal, dealing up to 150 damage a hit. On my first attempt, I got him to half health. After which, this happened. Dude, why the fuck does it keep spawning the Aquatic Scourge? What is this? Please, game. I was starting to get pretty upset. The unfair difficulty, combined with the random chance of him turning into the Aquatic Scourge, were making me lose my mind. I was, however, starting to form a strategy. I would focus on his head on my minimap, and when he dashed towards me, I'd use my double jump at the perfect time to get out of the way of his attack. And then there was second phase, where he would spawn two equally as annoying desert nuisances. Dude, that was a hard word to say. This was the moment that I realized how difficult the challenge was truly going to be. And for those who are confused, why do I have the optic staff? The Zenith seed switches around some hard mode jobs with pre-hardmode jobs. One of those being the optic staff, which can now be obtained from the Eye of Cthulhu, which we defeated in the last episode. As embarrassing as it is to admit, I was stuck. Stuck on what was supposed to be the first official boss of Pre-Hardmode. I would without fail die every time the boss entered his second phase. I would get completely overwhelmed the second he'd spawn those two fuckers in. I was thinking about quitting. I felt completely hopeless. Like bashing my wall. What? Like bashing my head into a brick wall. And I was starting to get tilted. This was until I had this attempt happen. I popped my rage and I managed to kill one of the worms. I realized how considerably easier the fight got immediately after the worm had died. All I had to do was to make sure that as the boss entered his second phase, I would have my adrenaline and rage ready. And now's probably a good time to explain what rage and adrenaline are. Rage and adrenaline are those two bars that you see right next to my hotbar. The red one is rage. They both work in a similar way. Once the bar fills up, you can activate it and you gain a damage multiplier. Rage builds up when you're close to enemies, and adrenaline builds up only during boss fights when you're not getting hit. So after suffering for hours on end, I finally had this attempt happen. While the boss was still in his first phase, I was trying my absolute hardest to not lose my adrenaline. As the boss entered his second phase, I popped both rage and adrenaline at the same time, completely melting away the two worms. And all I had to do now was not choke. Yeah, no, I did not choke. We had finally done it. After many hours of attempts, the Desert Scourge has finally fallen. I opened the treasure bag and realized that the Desert Scourge had dropped me an item that's normally only obtainable after defeating the mechanical bosses at the beginning of hard mode. I didn't think much of it. I instead set my sights on our next boss, the Eater of Worlds. Even though this is a drunk world, meaning it has both Crimson and Corruption, I will only be killing the Corruption counterparts of these bosses. For what reason, you may ask? I'm lazy. Before heading out, I crafted myself a set of Fictite armor, which was a direct upgrade to our Flank's fur coat. Oh, and I actually forgot to mention that I also killed Krabbilon. Nothing much to say about this fight, it's pretty straightforward. I just smacked him with my whip and my summons took care of him. He had this weird effect where there was like rainbow colored copies of him, and I guess it was kinda supposed to like trick me, but he was always in the middle, so defeating him was way too easy. Nothing much to say about him, except that he dropped us the Fungal Clump and the Plasma Root. What the Plasma Root does is that it increases our rage by 1 second. With all of that behind us, it's now time for the Eater of Worlds. And this is where I got really concerned for the future of this challenge. I was already skeptical of the vanilla bosses in this challenge. With Calamity bosses, it was clear that they were difficult, but they were doable. But when it came to bosses that were from the vanilla Terraria game, I noticed something was a little off. Because in the Zenith seed, there's a seed called For the Worthy, which increases boss difficulty. I'm not sure if this applies to Calamity bosses, but what I am sure of is that both Calamity Death Mode and For the Worthy apply to vanilla bosses, which means some of them will be extremely difficult, so I will resort to any means necessary when it comes to defeating those bosses. I will not use any glitches, but if you see some cheesy behavior, just know that I most likely had no other option. And if you're wondering, why did we choose the Eater of Worlds? Wouldn't the brain be easier for Summoner? It's because the brain fight looked like this.
Back with another milk. Help! 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 Help me! Help!
Yeah. I then headed to the nearest corruption altar and crafted the worm's summoning item. As I summoned the worm, there was a little surprise. You know how I said worm? I actually meant 4 worms. There were 4 of them. Yeah. I had already summoned him once before, as shown on the video. I thought that there were maybe 2 of them, but I had no clue that there'd be 4. I was in complete shock and died almost immediately. This boss was the biggest challenge that I had faced so far, and I knew I had to come up with something, and the strategy that I then came up with was our only chance at victory. I placed down a bed and set my spawn. Using a gravitational potion, I was able to escape the high-speed worms. Whenever the worms would get close, I would recall back to the bed and continue the cycle. While I was focused on using the recall potions, my summons would keep dealing damage to the worm, gradually lowering his health. The worm eventually got so fast that my timings had to be frame perfect. I couldn't mess up even once. Even a single frame of error could kill me. As the fight was nearing its end, I realized that I was running out of recall potions. I had no clue who would die first, me or the worm. The fight was finally done, and the worm had been defeated. And at this point, I was pretty confused. I had gotten yet another hard mode item, the light disc. Since this is my first playthrough on the Zenith seed, I had no clue if this was normal. I immediately discarded my summoner loadout and took full advantage of the amazing melee weapon we had just unlocked. I wanted to go on the surface to test the light disc when I ran into Hivemind, which is actually our next boss. And what happened next completely surprised me. I was almost able to kill him with 0 preparations. Dude, are you kidding me? And this time, I killed him easily. I was taken aback. Just having spent multiple hours grinding the previous boss, I was totally not expecting the next one to go down in 2 attempts. He then proceeded to drop me every single damage emblem. Dude, hello, what? And then for funsies, I tried to go take down the brain with our new weaponry to see if we would now stand a chance. The answer is no. The brain's just, like, insane. We then make our way towards the jungle, since Queen Bee is getting taken down next. This insect will stand no chance. I'm telling you.
Are you sure?
Luckily Calamity has this, like, massive Queen Bee hive that generates in the jungle. So all we need to do in order to make a functional arena is place down some platforms and torches. With our new arena ready, all I have to do is to fight the Queen Bee's larvae and start the fight. Dude, get me out of this goddamn honey! Oh my god, he does a lot of damage. Yeah, I'm cooked. Within 5 seconds of the fight, I was down to my last 5 hearts. Okay, comeback time, comeback time.
Are you sure?
After our first attempt, I realized that I might have underestimated her. Having to anyway go home to get some buffs, I decided to use a teleportation potion for fun. And it takes me to where the abyss is supposed to be. And for some reason, the abyss is empty. There's no water, there's no enemies, there's nothing. The abyss doesn't exist. This was concerning. but it's probably no big deal. Right, let's just hope that we don't need anything from here, and we'll be cool. But now it's time to exterminate this pest. Using the summon I crafted, the queen bee has awoken. Instead of shooting bees, she now shoots flaming rockets. Like, what does she have under there? Like, how is she able to do that? That's weird, bro. Ew. She also now spawns lava bats, which, after being killed, drop lava. And since liquids are broken in my world, the lava that the bats drop upon death just stays afloat in the arena, making it, like, impossible to use after a few attempts. And once the bee enters her second phase, she also starts spawning the plague enemies that plagued us earlier in the jungle. You know, get it? Because, like, plague and, you know. Turns out, the bee ended up being a bigger challenge than I expected. Her aggressive moveset, combined with the fact that the arena is full of junk during the fight, made it super difficult to grasp the pace of the fight. Most attempts ended in a similar way. I would first get my rhythm broken by the annoying plague enemies, and then the bee would sweep to finish me off. However, I kept being stubborn, and refused to change anything about my way of fighting her. I kept throwing myself at the bee, and after endless attempts, I finally had a good one. I got the bee down to half health, while still not having used my rage. I then popped my rage, and absolutely melted the bee, bro. Who's the best? Yeah, we all know it's me. Wait, what's that? Defeating the bee dropped us a new accessory called the Alchemical Flask, and this accessory is so good. And every time I hit like an enemy with my light disc, it spawns these green projectiles that deal so much damage. It's like honestly insane. I mean, the reason for that is probably because normally you get it after Golem, but it's just now given to me after killing a bee. And next up on the list was Skeletron. This fight was making me nervous. Since Skeletron is already a bit of a problem on Death Mode, I really wasn't looking forward to what Death Mode combined with Legendary Mode would do to him. Also, having to locate the dungeon was a bit of a pain in the ass, since a little Google search told me that in this seed, it's apparently located fully underground, meaning that I would have to dig an arena for Skeletron. And after getting my cheeks grabbed by yet another queen bee, I began reconstructing the nearby marble biome into an arena for Skeletron. Okay, let's go. What you got, bro? Okay, he has 4 hands, so yeah, I forgot about that. Dude, okay, I was not ready for that. Dude, I'm shredding him. Fuck. Damn, that was a good attempt though. But little did I know that this boss was about to make the next 3 hours of my life complete hell. What even killed me? Get me out of here! That didn't even hit me! What was that fucking fake? Where are these fucking wizards coming from? Oh my god! There's so many! Skeletron was tough. Really tough. He was hands down the hardest boss in the entirety of Pre-Hardmode. Since we're playing on the Zenith seed, the game is in Legendary Mode, meaning that each boss has their unique twist. And Skeletron's twist is that the arena is full of dark casters, and I hate dark casters with every inch of my being. On top of always being in the way, the fight also becomes a complete bullet hell because of the dark casters. It was clear to me that with my current gear, I couldn't beat Skeletron. So I then went to try my luck with Slime God. I thought to myself that since Skeletron is a vanilla boss, and vanilla bosses in this playthrough are clearly on some kind of steroids, then maybe Slime God, a Calamity boss, would be easier. Even though Slime God is supposed to be taken on after defeating Skeletron, but I wanted to prove to myself that vanilla bosses were unfairly hard, and that it wasn't just a massive skill issue. With some basic buffs, I then summoned the slime. On the first attempt I didn't really have like a strategy. I just thought to myself, I'll just keep running and see how the fight goes. And bro, these two are like senior citizen. They couldn't catch me. They just couldn't. And I don't even have Terra Spark boots yet. So, I don't know what to say, dude. I killed the slime god on the first attempt. I was kinda expecting them to be easier than Skeletron. But not like first attempt easy. Slime god, more like slimy dog. The main reason why I wanted to try defeating Slime God was that the armor that can be made after defeating them is a direct upgrade to my Hellstone armor, and I was hoping that the new armor would make a big enough of a difference so that I could finally take down Skeletron.
Nope.
Yeah, fuck this. We're pulling out the exploding nurse strategy.
But that's cheating!
I don't care. I'm losing my mind. Whack stuff does not play by the rules. I'm no sheep. I'm a free man, that's what I am. And I can do whatever I want. Yeah, who's dead? Who's dead now, huh? Yeah, I mean he was a skeleton, so he was already dead, but... Who's double dead, huh? And now only one boss stands between us and hard mode. And that is the Wall of Flesh. It can't be that hard, surely. Can't be harder than Skeleton. I decided to go check out how the fight would go with basic buffs and no arena. Just to see how difficult he is. I threw the doll into lava and summoned the Wall of Meat. I immediately popped my rage and made quick work of the hungry, realizing that damage wasn't going to be an issue. The only question I had was that would we be fast enough, since as the wall's HP lowers, his speed increases. And turns out that I didn't have enough speed, and the wall then caught after me and killed me. But we got really close on our first attempt, so before trying him again, I decided to just in case make myself the Terraria Spark boots. This time I played better and the wall didn't catch up to me. Although the wall was speeding up, I could tell that my damage would be enough, so all I had to do was not get caught up on anything, and the win would be ours. No. Oh shit, he's killing everybody, oh no. Okay, no! No, no! Dude, oh, let's go! With the wall defeated, and the spirits of light and dark released into our world, a new challenge awaits us. Will the climb continue? Or will the difficulty increase of hard mode be too much for us? I guess we'll just have to find out. And despite all the suffering that this challenge has caused me, it's been really fun so far, and I can't wait to see what hard mode has in store for us. But hey, that's it for today. So see you guys in the next one.